Hi, listener. This is From Ideology to Unity, a spiritual journey where we let go of ego and ideological doctrine in favor of meaning, purpose, and unity as a whole. Today, I'm interviewing Sebastien from the YouTube channel, podcast, and blog Path to Inspiration. Sebastien teaches meditation and loves fitness and Muay Thai. His business and occupation combines his passions in a way that inspires people worldwide. Hi.
Hello, Nick. How are you doing?
Pretty good. Yeah. I feel like there are these energies like recently that might be intense in certain ways. But
Also,
the sort of thing that brings up like pent up emotion, but it allows you to let go, sort of thing.
oh, that's the good kind of energies.
I guess it
That's the
is. You
best of
might think
kinds.
it's the bad kind, but it's not.
Oh, because it seems like it's negative, but actually it's helping you letting go.
Yeah, it's one of those things.
Oh,
I don't
that's a
think I'm
good
the only
one.
one experiencing it, but maybe you've already let go of it. So
No, I wish. I wish.
yeah, we've all. So I guess I'll start with how did you get into how did you I could say how did you awaken or how did you get into spirituality?
Uh, how did I get into spirituality? That's a good question. I, I guess I would have to say that um, I'm half French and I'm half Singaporean, and my grandmother is from Burma. I mean, Myanmar. Now they call it Myanmar, but my grandmother always told me to call it Burma, so I'll keep it this way. And she's obviously a very devout Buddhist. And from a young age, since we were born, she was telling me and my brothers stories of the Buddha, right? And that's how it really started because I was fascinated not only as a boy, obviously, when it comes to those epic stories, but it struck a chord in me. And ever since, I've always been into this kind of not only the stories, obviously, but the spirituality and the meaning behind all of this. Obviously, when you're a boy, you just listen and it just struck a chord and your interest. But after that, you do your own research and you do your own experimenting. And yeah, one thing leads to another. And now I'm here, right? So I guess that would be my answer to your question. It is when my grandmother started from a very early age. I cannot really remember what age. It must be as as far as I can remember from a very, very young age. Yeah.
Right. Um you could say that maybe you grew up in a Christian country, but with a lot of Buddhist influence. So what was that contrast like?
I didn't really grow up in a Catholic country per se. I mean, I'm half French, but my father was working for an engineering company, so we traveled a lot. So I lived in France, but I also lived in Singapore, in Venezuela, in the Middle East, in China, and now in Thailand. So I cannot really say I grew up in a Catholic country, especially given the fact that my father is not necessarily a devout practitioner. And I mean, you in the UK, you can testify to this. Europe is not. I mean, Western Europe is not so religious anymore. I would say,
Yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, as opposed to maybe our contemporaries in the East, namely Russia and parts of Ukraine and Romania. So I wouldn't say I, I discovered Catholicism, even though France is considered like the how do they call it, the elder daughter of the church, with being the first country with uh, um, Catholic king. But the influence of Catholicism in France is very, very small, and I would say
Mm.
weak. Unfortunately. But it is what it is. So I discovered Catholicism through my own research, not through the influence of being in France and being in Europe, more generally speaking.
So are you interested in Catholic mysticism?
Well, I mean, to be honest, I'm interested in all kind of mysticism, but
Mm.
I'm not necessarily familiar with. I mean, maybe you tell me something that I'll be like, oh, yes, I know what you're talking about. But out of the top of my head, I would say I'm not that familiar with it. Let's just
There
try to
isn't,
stay
I don't think
humble.
there's much of it, to be honest, but there is some. Um, I could just let name drop like Meister Eckhart, but honestly, I haven't looked that much into it. But I've got a book from him. I just haven't read any of it yet.
From who?
But
Sorry,
yeah,
I didn't hear.
Meister Eckhart.
Master Eckhart. Okay, I don't know if I'm familiar with this one. Maybe.
Anyway, so I've been wondering, what are your top 5 tips for inner peace?
Top 5 piece. I have 2 right now. A top 5. Okay, for me, the number 1 tip is meditation. Practice meditation, right? And when I say practice meditation, is at least once or twice a day. In the morning and or at night. That will be my number 1 tip. The second tip is indirectly linked to the first tip, is have a general awareness of your thoughts, right? Because I think so many people think that meditation is limited to just sitting down in the lotus position, closing your eyes and watching the breath or having a mantra. But it's so much more than this, because in the Buddhist scriptures, when you translate from the Sanskrit Pali to English, the term in Sanskrit is bhavana, which is actually cultivation. And the real definition of meditation when it comes to spirituality, at least for me, and in certain scriptures and Buddhism and whatnot, is the cultivation of the mind. So cultivation of the mind is not something you do once per day. It's a thing that you should always be constantly be aware of. So I would say is have a general awareness of what is happening in your mind. And the third tip that is related to the second tip is just watch out for negative feelings, right? For negative thoughts. And as soon as you can catch your negative thoughts, replace them, or at the very least, do not dwell on them. That's number 1. I think that the very basic foundation is just not to dwell on negativity at all. And number 4 would be, when it comes to negative feelings, just allow them to be. Do not repress them, do not suppress them, do not fight them, do not label them. Just let them be and allow them to do. Obviously, it's a very, very easy, simple concept. It's not necessarily easy to apply because some feelings can be very overwhelming, but it is a practice that needs to be done nonetheless. And my number 5 tip would be exercise. I mean, I'm big into exercising. I think that moving the body and using the body in a intense way every now and then will help you, because I really do think that if you clear the mind, the body follows suit, and vice versa. So I would say do something with your body. But this is the last. It's not a requirement. If you do the first 4, it's more than enough. Number 5 is kind of a cherry on top of the cake, right? At least for me.
I guess even someone who was paralyzed could follow, the first part of your advice.
100%, even more so, I would say.
So, what exactly is meditation? Because sometimes it's useful to explore what we mean by that and what it.
No, I agree.
Yeah,
it's a very good question. I think that I'm very because obviously coming from a Buddhist background, from my grandmother and my mother and my family in Singapore, meditation is something I've been introduced to very early on in my life. But I remember not such a long time ago, maybe 10, 15 years ago, I would not necessarily say so openly that, or to be fair, I was younger and shyer and less confident. I would not necessarily say, I know about meditation, because at that time, meditation was seen as something that is kind of misty, kind of ooey gooey, kind of over the top. And nowadays it's become so trendy. So let's say I would talk about meditation 15 years ago with someone, any given person, right? They would not necessarily know what I'm talking about, or they would look down on me, or they would think that I'm weird or something like this. But now every time you talk about meditation, everybody has something to say. And most of the time people will tell you I try meditation, or I want to try meditation, which is great. It becomes very trendy. But I think the issue sometimes that comes with trends is you like more of the glamour side of the meditation instead of the real in-depth version of what is the
Right.
real cultivation of the mind. And when it comes to meditation, is not something you see, like when people tell me, generally speaking, oh, I failed at meditation, I've tried meditation, they really kind of do not really grasp the concept of meditation, because it's not something you can fail at. It's not really even something you can succeed. It's not a concept. It's a concept beyond words and beyond doing. It's more about being. It's not a concept of something of time and space. It's more about cultivation of the mind, and the cultivation of what is inside is more about introspection. So for me, as I said at the beginning, it's like when it's called really cultivating the mind and cultivating this clarity and this allowing and this surrendering and letting go and peace of mind that pertains to the rest of our lives and the lives of the people around us. And meditation does not serve only to distress you and relax you, and it's amazing for that too, don't get me wrong, but it's even more deep-seated than this, because when it comes to spirituality, meditation, at least from what I believe and from the Buddhist scripture, and I would say Hindu scriptures as well, when you meditate, this is the key and the path to enlightenment. And when it comes to, even though I don't consider myself a Buddhist, I've been raised, quote unquote, as a Buddhist, but I don't label myself as such, because labels do not matter. And I mean, at least for me. But there is no Buddhism without meditation. You cannot dissociate both. You cannot dissociate meditation and Buddhism. Buddhism is meditation. If there's no meditation, Buddhism is not Buddhism, because that's the only thing that the Buddha at the time, 2,500 years ago, would advise and recommend people to follow. It's not so much the teaching, it's the not reading the books, it's the practicing. It's very, very pragmatic.
There's the practice, and then there's like spiritual ego stuff, right?
100%. Spiritual materialism.
I mean, you can do the practice
and
you can explore the ideas, but practice is actually the hard bit, like when it comes to spirituality generally. I've been experiencing this too. Now, I've been learning a lot about spirituality, but yeah, the day-to-day dealing with thoughts and
yeah,
especially intrusive ones.
That's reality. That's the reality.
It's the nitty-gritty of it. And
there's nothing harder than this, to be honest, because this is a constant thing you do all the time. There's no really, I mean, as much as you want to work out and work your tail off or whatever you're doing in your life, you still take a break from work, take a break from working out, take a break from eating, take a break from people. But you cannot, obviously, unless you're sleeping, or maybe you escape with drugs and whatnot, but you cannot really take a break from you. You know what I'm saying? It's like you're always constantly aware of you, unless obviously you're sleeping and you escape with drugs and things of that nature.
Yeah, we can avoid you, but
yeah, you can.
We actually suffer when we avoid ourselves anyway.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think, let's put it in real context. Like, you don't necessarily suffer. Let's say you go to do drugs. You don't suffer in the short term. You actually feel good about yourself. And to be fair, I haven't tried every drug, so I cannot speak for the drugs. I would say that a lot of the appeal of certain drugs, from what I heard from my study and from what I've experienced, I didn't experience that much, but it's kind of like you get this bliss in a way, but it's kind of like you're taking a shortcut when if you were to do the same thing, you would have equal, if not better, plus the insight and the wisdom that goes along.
Are you
practice? Yes,
so
I'm referring to
about
ayahuasca and MDMA and ecstasy and stuff like this.
Okay.
From what I heard, I never tried MDMA and ecstasy, but from what I heard, it's like spirituality is not hardship. Spirituality is supposed to be fun, and it is fun, and it's supposed to bring you happiness. I mean, true happiness.
Right. So what you're saying is it can be a crutch if we're not careful.
100%.
But at the same time, is it all bad?
The drugs? You're talking about the drugs?
Hallucinogenics.
I don't know. I cannot talk about something I'm not familiar with. I still have to stay humble. However, I would say that generally speaking, those shortcuts. I mean, is it really a solution to use those hallucinogens to get a spiritual insights when you can actually do it by yourself? Without spending money.
One thing I will suggest is that it can kind of force you to let go, because you have to avoid a bad trip. So in that sense, it can help you. But then there's the insight that it's like in real life, if you let go, everything's smoother. So if you treat real everyday life like a trip, because it basically is, right? We go on a trip to Earth and experience all these interesting things. So
Yeah, I mean, I'm not dismissing all of this stuff. I think it's a
no, yeah,
shortcut, to be honest. But then again, I'm not necessarily familiar. I don't think I will necessarily try this, because I think like I'm good with the practice of meditation.
Hmm.
I'm just not a big believer that there is necessarily a shortcut when it comes to spirituality, that you can do this and like, it's like kind of
I
Avenger
get it. I
stuff.
get you.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like, you know what I mean, like, lithium and all this stuff. No, I don't think so. But like, to each their own. I just don't. It's not my thing. But I don't want to judge it. That's for sure.
Yeah. So is discipline important for spirituality?
I want to say yes, but I also want to say no, in a sense that when it comes to discipline, I want to strictly say that effort and discipline is necessary, but not hard work. You know what I mean? It's not using willpower. It's like, no, I'm gonna meditate for fucking 5 hours in a row. That's not discipline. That's you being stupid. And it's like discipline, yes, but not in an ego-based way. You know what I mean? Like not trying. I'm striving to reach. It's like when you put too much effort towards something, sometimes you get too attached, and the goal of spirituality and meditation is to let go, right? So when you're putting so much
Yeah.
effort, it's like kind of like defeats the purpose in a way, right? So yes, discipline, but when I say discipline, I want to picture something like fun, effortless. Have you heard of like Wu Wei?
I knew you were
Action.
going to say that because I've seen you mentioned it. Yeah, I've explored Taoism a little bit.
Yeah,
I've done a couple of readings from
yeah.
the Tao Te Ching.
It's quite interesting. I mean, being Chinese Singaporean, I was not necessarily introduced, but I read the Tao Te Ching. I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, that guy is chewing 3 sentences, and this guy is being a classic for 3,000 years. But it's much deeper than this. And obviously, like having lived in China, I know how the Chinese language is much deeper than what you may think.
Hmm.
And what you first read. So the translation doesn't give it enough justice, to be fair. But when it comes to the Wu Wei, just the specific concept of non-action and action, it's like there is a time to act, and there's a time to not take an action. You know what I mean? And obviously
It's a
you
wave.
can.
You see, it's like I see the yin between the yin and yang. You've got like this wave pattern, which
Yeah,
means
yeah.
sometimes you go one way, sometimes you go another. It's not a straight line.
Well,
Yeah.
like in the words of Bruce Lee, be water, my friend. You know what I mean? Like this guy, he doesn't get enough credit for what he said. As a philosopher, he's so much more than just like kicks and punches and philosophy of expressing the bodies. No, be water, my friend. This is a Wu Wei. This is a very Taoist concept, because water is soft and supple, but it also can adapt, but it also can break any obstacle. And when it comes to the flow of life, I would think that to what I was saying just now is like really try our best to flow with life as much as possible. And that's hard because the hard part, especially for us in the West, is that you have to relinquish control, and you have to release the trust and allowing. And that is something that, that's why people quote unquote fail at meditation, because you need to let go. You need to allow what is happening, because as soon as like, oh yeah, I have to meditate, I fell victim to this. We think we need to empty the mind, and we think that we control with our willpower. We need to control, and what happens is when you try this, there's a backlash, and the more you try to control, the more restless you will become. But when you allow, that's when things start fading away, sometimes quickly, but slowly but surely, at the very least.
So fear is fundamentally involved with control, right?
Sorry?
Would you agree that fear is linked to control?
Well, fear, but it depends from one's fear. Yes, in a sense, but also fear is like fear of like basic survival. I don't know if you're familiar with the works of David Hawkins, and they say all the fears boil down to the fear of survival. The fear of death.
Essentially.
And essentially, so yeah, I would say yeah. In a sense, yeah, I agree with you. Yeah, fear is fear obviously can stem from powerlessness. Yeah, our feeling of powerlessness in a given situation, I would say, which is oftentimes the future, and an outcome that we cannot see going our way. Therefore, we have fear because we cannot control. Even though we can control, but we don't know if the results the fruits we'll reap will actually give the outcome that we would want, and therefore we fear the outcome because we
So
think the outcome will be negative. And hence
right,
the allowing part, you know,
we want to
because,
know for sure so that
and you
we can
can't, you
feel
know,
safe.
and that's the thing, you can't, you know, and that's the I mean, everything in spirituality can be super terrifying, but at the same time it can be super liberating, right? Because like if
Yeah.
you say like you cannot control anything, nothing is out of your control. If you see it from a like more materialistic point of view, scientific point of view, it's like, oh my god, it's so fucking scary. But if you see it from a more spiritual standpoint, it's like, oh my god, it's amazing. That means I don't need to exert so much effort into changing people, changing things, because it's moot, right? And do you understand that the more you try to change people, the more you actually push them away, and the more you try to change circumstances to your liking. And when I say change, it's like by using sheer force, you know, because
Yeah.
you can, you know what I mean? So that's where the allowing part it comes along. But yeah, to what you were saying just now, it's a process. It's definitely a process.
Yeah.
It's a lifetime process. And if you, like me, believe in reincarnation, it can be like a millions of lifetime process, you know.
Yeah, that's true. It helps you get perspective. So
100%.
here's a question. What is inspiration? Because obviously it's a key word in your podcast.
Inspiration is for me. I'm going to quote. I don't know if I can remember. There's a Buddhist monk, a very very funny Buddhist monk who is originally from the UK, from your country, and his name is Ajahn Brahm, and he went to Thailand about 40 odd years ago, and he became a monk, and he never looked back, and he's been a monk for 40 years now, and he's now settled in Australia, and he's like very famous in the world of Buddhism, right? And he's very funny, he's very insightful and very caring, very warm. I will send you some videos later. And he said the inspiration is adding beauty to this world by your thoughts, acts, by your words, your deeds, and your thoughts. And that would be for me the best way of describing it. You know, it's inspiration. It's very practical, but it's a bit corny, but it's true. That would be my
So
best
where does it
definition.
come from?
From the heart, but like from letting go. Honestly, from letting go. From when I was last time I went on a holiday with my family. I mean, my two brothers and my parents was about 3, 4, 5 years ago. And before, I was living in Shanghai, China at that time. And at that time, I was like, and it was Chinese New Year holiday. It was a couple of weeks, and we went to Singapore. I mean, I joined them in Singapore and then Bali. And I decided, like, okay, I'm going to put, and I questioned when it comes to career and what I was doing. And I was like, I'm going to put this aside, right? I'm gonna put all work aside. I'm just gonna enjoy my time with my family. That was my intention. That was my commitment, right? And like, and then I took the plane and I arrived in Singapore. And because I hadn't seen my family, because not only my parents and my two brothers came from Paris, but in Singapore I had my grandmother, my cousins, my uncles and aunts and all this stuff, right? So we hadn't been all together for such a long time because I don't travel that much. And I was feeling so inspired and so light. When I mean light, is like there was no burden. I was not thinking about anything. I was feeling so light.
Just joy.
Just exactly, joy and peace of mind. I was barely sleeping, but I was so light because I had so much energy. And at that moment, I had all those ideas about what to do with my life that started what I'm doing right now. I mean, not exactly what I'm doing, but like, like the first seed was planted, I mean, we could argue that seed was planted before I was born,
yeah.
but the seed of the seed that I can recall was planted there because I had all this idea. And the thing that is like, obviously, is because I was surrounded with my family, with loved one, and that was amazing. But it's also the letting go part and the allowing part, and it's like really truly letting flow because I was not working, so I was just going about. I had nothing planned, I had nothing to do. I was just going with the flow and just enjoying my life. I'm not saying that you have to do this all the time and be on holiday all the time, not just because we have work, we have responsibilities, but allowing ourselves to have more of this flow, and that the inspiration comes the clarity and the emptiness of the mind, oftentimes.
Yeah.
It's more like intuitions and ideas and stuff like this, or something's telling you to do this and you have no idea what it's telling you to do because it's so out of left field that you don't know what you do. But if sometimes you that's where allowing comes into play. It's like sometimes your mind, the little voice in your mind is telling you do this, but you question it because it doesn't make sense. But inspiration does not have to make sense. Most of the time it does not make sense. And that's where great artists created great action, like a beautiful stuff, beautiful things are created because it's
But you
following
need to be
this
open,
inspiration.
right?
Sorry?
Because otherwise you can't receive.
Sorry, can you repeat this?
Do you need to, perhaps you need to be open, because
Oh
otherwise you
yeah,
can't
the
receive.
openness is the most important part. When I say allowing, I mean openness. Yeah, that's for me. Like, yeah, because most of us we're not open. We're like, okay, like I hear this voice, but who the fuck are you? I have my life. You know, why would you come and pester me and harass me? I already have my life, my habits and stuff like this. But sometimes people just don't wake up and have cancer. You know, your body's telling you slow down. You know, but how many times have you listened to your body telling you to slow down? You know, how many times have you burn out when you could have stopped like 3 days ago because your mind is telling you to stop, but you just decide not to listen? That's why willpower is a problem, because we think that we can just go on willpower and we burn out. That's the thing.
It's another question. What does it tell you about your life if chaos comes into your external life?
Oh, good question. What
Or
do you mean by
darkness,
chaos?
or whatever you call it. Sorry?
What do you mean by chaos?
Like
Disorder?
if things feel like they're falling apart or something. Or suddenly
okay.
like things, you're getting negativity coming in that you didn't have before and you don't know.
Well, to be fair, and I don't want to be a smartest, but like I always come across as a bit like a smartest, but like, I mean, if chaos came into life, we deem it to be chaos. You know what I mean? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
We
need
judge
it.
it as being, we judge it as being chaos. But like this thing can happen to someone else. It could be a beautiful thing, you know? So the chaos that comes into our life, oftentimes we decide that it's chaos, you know, like Shakespeare said, there's only...
No, you're right. You're right. We decide what it is, and
yeah,
we might not realize that it's actually just what we need.
Actually what we need, or it's just simply life, you know? But like, it's the perspective of like, if you have this mantra, like I use this mantra all the time, all things work to my benefit, right? Anything that comes in my life, I can judge it as being so, you know? So if the thing is like all negative things happen in my life, everything that comes into my life will therefore be chaos, because this is what this perspective I have on life, you know? But let's say we talk about the things that are actually chaotic. Maybe we'll lose someone, maybe something happens in our career and stuff like this. And to your point, I think, yeah, that's the thing that maybe we need to be shook. And that's oftentimes it is like, you know, if you look at the works of what's his name, the call to adventure, Joseph Campbell, you know what I mean? The call to adventure and stuff like this is something that makes you uncomfortable and it shakes you up, you know what I mean? So I guess like sometimes if it's something, I would not use the word chaos. I will use something that makes you truly uncomfortable. I mean, when it comes to something that makes you truly uncomfortable, okay, there's something to be learned. You know, there's a stepping stone. There's maybe something that you can level up, so to speak. You know, that's what I would try my best to see it as such. You know,
Right. And also, it wouldn't come into your life if you couldn't handle it, because
agreed.
I mean, are you not
100%.
going to trust God or source or whatever?
Yeah, I agree. I agree. I mean, like for me, I have no problem with people. I sometimes do it. Is like God will not, because whatever you want to call it, the God or the universe is like at one point you have to trust something else, you know what I mean, outside of you know what I mean? And like, so yeah, 100%. You have to trust and allow, you know what I mean? And when at the end of the day, that's an exercise actually from David Hawkins, is like there's nothing you cannot really handle, you know what I mean? It's more so like the you know, like as much as we put we it's like the same thing when we put a goal on a pedestal, and then we reach it, it's like, oh, is that all, right? It's like because we have glamorized the goal. At the same thing, we have glamorized our fears, you know what I mean? Like, oh my God, what if this happened? Then it happens, it's like, I mean, it's bad, you know what I mean? It doesn't feel good, but it's not nothing close to what I expected when it comes
also,
to...
isn't a glamour an illusion?
Oh, 100%.
Like
I
a
think
spell.
the whole world we're living in is all about glamour, you know? Because of social media and advertising and stuff like this. I mean, we all have been glamorized, and because we all believe that we have this and this will get better, right? But the ads show you like, oh, you get this Isuzu, you get this car, you get this thing, you watch this movie, you get this girl, this guy, you know? And after it's just like, you know, same shit, different day. You know what I mean? It's just like you get used to whatever you have. So that's why desire begets desire. And for me as a Buddhist, I learned very early on in my life that desire is the cause of suffering. You know what I mean? And I'm not like trying to alarm people, but when you desire something, you lack it. And when you lack it, you're frustrated. Therefore, you have negativity and stuff like this. And you can, from that can stem a lot of action that actually will lead to getting your desire, but doesn't mean that you will be fulfilled by your desire. There's countless examples of people having gotten the example.
So
like even
yeah, so if the ego desires what it doesn't have and then it creates this lack, when you're not an ego, but you're choosing in some sense your experiences, like it's not what you desire, then what is it? If it's not what you desire,
what do you mean?
like, is it possible to have non-egoic desire?
That's I have thought about this question a lot actually, and it's like I think it's more, and this is not from me, but I read something. It's more about preference, you know. That desire will always be desire stemming from the ego, because but like if you have no desire, you're pretty much an enlightened being, right? So we say, but the thing is like to acknowledge what are the desires we want the most and what we truly want and what would actually fulfill us, you know what I mean? And oftentimes those desires like to help others, to communicate, to express yourself, and to create stuff, you know, instead of, if you tell me like, oh, my desire is like, if you lined up like 10 guys and you ask them what is your desire, maybe 10 of them will say I want a Lamborghini. Maybe one of them is a true fan of cars, you know what I mean? The other 9 will be just because they think it will bring a status and stuff like that, hence the glamour, you know what I mean? So the guy
Right.
who really loves car, like if you give me a Lamborghini, I would just sell it. I don't like the car at all, you know what I mean? It's just like, but some people think like, is the difference between liking something out of, oh, I want them to see me having this out of status, you know what I mean? The trappings of life. That's a
Yeah.
really ego based, you know. Yeah, the guy who likes car, maybe he likes them car for whatever reason, you know. But it's a more detached kind of liking, because it's detached from people's opinion, and it's something that actually you enjoy, you know what I mean? Like those people those people who don't like car, who just have a car for material gains and for the status that people will perceive them to have, or is an illusion, you know. And so that's a different desire. But like, yes, if you're an enlightened being, you don't have desires at all if you're an enlightened being. But I'm not at this level. But it's just what truly makes us happy, you know what I mean? And like oftentimes you peel all the layers and you realize that it doesn't take much to be that happy, you know what I mean? And the rest is like, I mean, like, yes, like, oh yeah, like even if I meditate all day, I'm happy, I live a quiet life, but I still want my chocolate, you know what I'm saying? But it's not like, you know what I mean? It's like it's not gonna kill me to have this desire. Like if this desire becomes out of control, hence the middle path in Buddhism, right? If it's like, oh my god, I need chocolate and I've stimulated, I cannot live with my chocolate, then it becomes more like a pattern that is more addictive. So maybe you can tone it down and moderate it, because it's just now it becomes more of a negative pattern. But if it's like in moderation and stuff like this, I have no problem with this, you know, because as long as we're humans, we still have preferences, you know.
I've got a question.
If it makes sense, sorry, I don't know. I went on a
No,
rant.
it makes sense. It makes sense. It's something has come to me, and I feel like asking you because I've actually wondered this before, and it's like, is there a connection, perhaps, between, or could you compare the middle path and the central pillar in the tree of life on the Kabbalah?
I'm not familiar with the Kabbalah. I mean, I know what it speaks about, but I'm not that familiar. So you'll have to explain.
All right, I just thought I'd ask this in case. I didn't know if you knew about both, but
no, you can explain. You can explain. I'll try to answer.
oh, listen, I don't know if I know enough about it, but it just
okay,
sometimes
enough,
I see connections between things. I just thought, I wonder if he knows anything about that.
No, I'm not familiar with the Kabbalah. Not that I'm not interested. I'll probably look into it in the future, but I'm not that familiar, to be fair. You know, so.
It's something that resonates with me anyway. It's the idea that awareness of ourselves and of our ego and just like our thoughts and everything, it's just the more aware we are, the more we can catch ourselves when we're slipping or
100%, 100%, 100%. It's not an easy task. I don't know. It's a very simple concept, but it takes like people, they have to treat you. People who start meditating, they have to treat it as a workout, as a muscle, more so than like a hobby It's like you need the discipline and the effort, but you need to be consistent to see the results. You know what I mean? Yeah, I don't like to use those words, but it's still, yeah, you need to be consistent in order to see, oh, I can see the benefits of it, even though subtle, but they're very powerful, you know? And yes, it's definitely about honing quote unquote the awareness, sharpening it as much as you possibly can, you know. Because nowadays, like, oh my God, like now you get, as you said, you catch yourself sleeping. Oh, I see this coming, you know, like, oh, I see this coming. And the thing is, like, the only thing that will happen when you have awareness, not that you're not gonna, yes, obviously after some time you're gonna have less negativity, less feeling, because your mind is gonna tell, oh, he doesn't want this, you know what I mean? We know he doesn't want this, you know, he's not attached to it. But more often than not, it's like more so like something will knock at your door. It's like, yeah, you know what I mean? So then your awareness is like, then after you have, you catch it, you know, but instead of going into a spiral and like going down this rabbit hole deliberately, now you deliberately have a choice, right? You say, do I open this door or do I close this, or do I leave this door closed? And if you leave this door closed and you're not judging, you're not screaming at yourself, you're not beating yourself down, it will fade. It will fade. It's all about catching. And when it's small, it's easy. But when you catch it when it's like this, it's funny you should mention, because I did a video today about this, you know, letting go is the muscle, you know. When you catch the small things, you don't give them a chance to become this huge thing that you need to cope with. When it's small like this, it's easy. And like when you let go, and your life becomes much more, you can deal with anything, you know.
I mean, sometimes I'm even talking like, and I've got this thing I want to say, and it's like, and then I realize, wait a minute, I don't need to say this. I can chill out.
Yeah. I feel I know what you mean. Sometimes, like, because I've been known to be kind of obnoxious and kind of a provocateur. So sometimes, especially with women, sometimes we're like, no, don't say it. You know, your mind, don't say it. It's not like because out of fear. It's like no, because sometimes, you know, you want to say, sometimes saying something, even if it's the right thing, it's not the right thing because you hurt someone. You know what I mean? And you want to kind of win in the games of wits. You know what I mean? And that's not necessarily a good thing. You know what I mean? But there's exactly, you said it better than I have, you know. It's exactly this. It's like catching yourself, you know what I mean? It's like a game of catching and releasing, you know what I mean? And not getting a charge. It's this constant awareness, you know. The weakness when you don't have this, the awareness, your awareness is not sharpened, is like you will not even know that you have these thoughts, and you'll go down, and then all of a sudden you feel depressed and burn out because you didn't catch yourself at the beginning. If you catch them in the beginning, you don't have time to reach those levels, you know what I mean? Because you keep on catching them, and not only they will come less frequently, but even if they come, you just like catch them and it's over, you know? I'm not to say that you cannot suffer big things, but you know how to cope with them. That's the thing. It's not a miracle pill. I mean, it is, but like, it's not as magical as like you snap your finger and everything is okay. No. It takes, you go through the turbulences, but you know how to deal with them and remain calm and composed, you know.
So this journey of awakening, it takes years and it has different stages, right? But there must have been a time where, oh God.
Yeah, no, I mean, semantics
I was
matter.
being general and broad about it.
Yeah, no, because like I don't I'm not blaming you for this, but like I don't want to say something that might be inaccurate when it comes to awakening, because what it means to be, because nowadays like there's a woke culture, awakening and stuff like this, and those words has very specific meaning that I would not want to throw one so easily. Especially
I know what you mean.
Now, that's all
it's not just adopting a view that people is popular.
No, because I want to keep it practical. I want to keep it practical because people can still think it's always mystical. When it's actually very, like, everybody can do it. Everybody should do it. I think that this kind of stuff that we talk about should be learned in school at a very young age, because like you have people like who are very successful in life, who have seemingly achieved the highest levels of society as we see it, you know what I mean, the trapping and stuff like this. But you talk to them and they have no clues about anything, you know what I mean, anything else but their adventures in life, because they don't know how to deal with emotion, they don't know how to deal with relationships and stuff like this, when it's because they don't know how you expect someone to be able to communicate with another human being if they don't even know how to communicate with themselves, you know what I mean?
That's a really good point.
That listen to themselves. Thank you. So I guess like what I'm trying to say is this thing has nothing to do with Wu Wei. That's the thing, is 100% practical. and pragmatic, and everybody should have this from a very young age. I'm talking from kindergarten. You know, you should have to teach that, you know, be in the moment. I mean, kids know how to be in the moment, but know how to deal with your emotion and know not to let the door of your mind be corrupted. You know, you need this. The awareness for me serves as a guardian in front of your mind, guardian in front of mind. And this
how would you describe what Buddhism or New Age or whatever you call it, like, what is it, or mysticism? What is the journey that is being had once you? It's like you start off not even aware of any of it, but once you learn, then you learn about what it's certain ideas.
I wouldn't like that's why that's the
that's why like the soul or whatever.
I'm trying to try to correct me if I'm wrong. I'm going to try to answer your question. I think I understand what you're trying to say. I'm not sure, but I will try my best. The thing is, like, I don't. That's why, like, the first question you asked me about spirituality, I don't necessarily like those words and stuff like this, because it comes sometimes like almost like from a snobbish point of view. It's like, oh my God, I'm in spirituality, therefore I'm super guy. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying that that's what you meant. I'm not saying that's what you meant, but like, sometimes like, oh my God, like, because I've been through this, and then I'm 15 years old, I'm Buddhist, I like, you know what I mean, I'm cool, you know, and I had Muslim friends who were like this too, you know, and the Christian friends, you know, in Paris, I was living in Paris, like, I'm the super Buddhist, you the super Muslim, super Christian, we above other people because we have God on our side, and all look all those, like, those macarons and these believers and stuff like this. Not and I don't want me to be something about that is self-righteous, you know what I mean? Because when you are about the practice, like, if you, I heard something from monks, like, if you have a congregation of people from different religion, that's an example given by a monk. If you see those who really practice the religion, they will get along. Those who do not practice, well, just in the scripture, the reading, the educating, they will argue with each other, because those have the practice, you know what I mean? So you put me like there, if you tell me like, like, if I can tomorrow, I can call myself Christian. If I'm a Buddhist, and if a monk tell me that I'm doing something wrong because I'm following Christianity, even though I am Buddhist at the same time, he's the one who's having false claim, because there's tolerance. And even everything is universal and you don't get attached to label, even the label of your own religion, you know what I mean? So I have to be able to not be attached to even what I think, you know what I mean? So all I think is this, is like, I cannot, if I think I'm right 100%, now I'm attached. Like, I cannot let you talk about this without me barking in you. It's like, no, I know. So that's why when it comes to spirituality, we are spiritual beings, if you will, but it's more about the pragmatics, you know what I mean? It's like it's not about the intellectual and the status and the material gains that you can get even from spirituality. That's not about it. I think it's very practical. I think it does not need any label, and it doesn't need any like belt system like in martial art or whatnot. You know what I mean? I think it's very, very simple, and it should be accessible to anybody, regardless of gender, whatever, creed, colors, nationality, whatever. Sorry, I went a bit too far, but like,
no, I mean, it doesn't need to be what's planned for it, you know. So you obviously, it's a gradual journey, whatever the unnamed thing is, a gradual journey, and maybe it's better not to label it, because we know what we're talking about. If someone's listening to this, they know what's being talked about.
I hope so.
And what were your difficulties?
Difficult. I guess like the number one, and I don't, is allowing. That could be a pain in the ass, you know what I mean? Because like, allowing is like really much like, you know what I mean, like letting go and trusting you can fly, you know what I mean? Literally, like, there's no two ways about it, you know what I mean? It's like you have to, sometimes like, we always think that there's something more I can do, right? And sometimes it's like, no, just there's nothing else you can do. You have done your part, just let it happen. Let things flow the way they should, you know? And that's why being uncomfortable is the best thing, because life will make you uncomfortable regardless of where you are, you know what I mean? Like your day, you plan your whole day, you're set, the next day something happens, you know what I mean? Or now with COVID and stuff like this, it's like, okay, so what do we do with this? Are we gonna live in the past and not deal with our circumstances? Like, you know, that's why I really love the expression, it is what it is. Like, you cannot live, like, whatever world we have now, this is our world. We cannot just look back and always think like, and I would have a lot of things to say about our circumstances right now, for better or worse. But at the end of the day, we still have to live with our present. You know what I mean? You don't like it, so what?
Right.
Nobody cares if you don't like it. It's still your reality. You know what I mean? It's like
Yeah.
you make the
Also,
best
what
out
kind
of
of,
it.
how are you going to get out of your comfort zone and change unless stuff that makes you uncomfortable happens? Right. Like,
Oh, things will make you uncomfortable regardless of what you do. It's like as long as you accept it or you run away from it.
yeah, or staying in your comfort zone might make you uncomfortable. So you can't be comfortable.
That's a very good point. That's a very good point, because I think staying in your comfort zone will make you uncomfortable, yes, but it will make you miserable, or at the very least, it make you a zombie because now you accepted the reality, and that's my problem with sometimes like if sometimes you foresee this person is like, my God, like, because like you decide to procrastinate, I said no, I'll do this. So I'll do this later, and but you can have literally decades pass you by because you didn't want to relinquish this comfort. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's like, yes, you have the universe is conspiring for you. You know, it's not against you. You know what I mean? Like if you want to see it this way, but yes, it can be. Sometimes like I really do believe that discomfort is a great is a call to action. You know what I mean? Like you have to take it. There's something telling you. You know. And even more so right now, let's say in the COVID situation, I know you're in the UK, the restrictions are very strict there, right? From what I heard. I mean, like, okay, like if I want to see from like my rebellious point of view, I can say, yeah, it's all fucked up, it's all conspiracies and stuff like that. And probably there's a lot of truth to it, right? But the same thing is like, am I bitching and complaining about this? Is it going to do something? Me being depressed? Hell no, you know what I mean? Like nothing is gonna happen, you know, unless I'm so powerful that I can change everything, right? Or all of a sudden I come up with a vaccine and manufacture it, and you know what I'm saying? But like the thing is,
we act like complaints change things.
Sorry.
We act like
No,
our
but
complaints actually change anything anyway, which like.
Yeah, no, but that's the thing. That's why I stopped. That's how I stopped. I never watch the news. I never watch the news. I quit 5-7 years ago. I don't know what's happening. And sometimes people tell me, but that's the fight. It's like, do you know what is happening? Like, I don't know, in the Suez Canal. It's like, yeah, a boat got stuck. I was like, yeah, so what? You know what I mean? It's like I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, not that I don't care. You know what I mean? It's like, what is it gonna change to my life? You know, except bringing me negativity. When you know that those media outlets are nothing more than businesses. So what they want is your attention, and the best way they grab your attention is through negativity. So why would I allow myself to give my time and not my energy to people who just want my click, and they want to get them through means of deception? You know what I mean? That's why I don't watch news. But when it comes, okay, let's say COVID is a very good example when it comes to comfort. It's like, yeah, some people claim, and I can understand because I was young not such a long time ago, right? So I can understand that some people feel that they've been stripped of this youth and this stuff like this, and I can understand that's a valid point. However, when it comes to the restriction, I'm not for the restrictions at all. I'm actually thinking let everybody flow, but that's like that's anyway. That's neither here nor there. What I'm trying to say, but when it comes to restriction, going to the movies, hang out in pubs and bars, going to restaurants. At the end of the day, those are luxury. In a sense, it's like you don't need this to be happy. You don't need this to be alive. You know what I mean? Physically, mentally, spiritually. Because like, okay, like, so why don't you stay at home? And my point is like, this is the reality we live in, whether you for or against it. But what you can do is like, how is it going to help you to be depressed about this situation? Even though you might be justified. What I'm trying to say is like, that's the right time to be in introspection. You isolated, just go inside. You know what I mean? Why?
Yeah.
Because the thing is like, the thing is coming down with spirituality, with meditation, with awakening, with enlightenment and stuff like this. Is like enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. It's like we do not rely on external things outside of ourselves for happiness. You know, and that's the true meaning of spirituality. Happiness stems from inside, not from outside. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that is a hard concept because we think that, oh, I eat this, I will be happy. I fuck this person, I'll be happy. You know, I get this money, I'll be happy. You know, so we constantly living in a future. Then we get it and we're like, oh my God, that's it. Hence the glamour, right? So at this end, when you realize it's like, you know, like in the movie Lord of Voice, like there's the two worst things that can happen to you in life is, number one, not getting what you want. Number two is getting what you want. And it's very true, you know. is because there's no satisfaction. At least there's no fulfillment long term when it comes to desire, right? So when you rely more and more on feeling happy regardless of what is happening, which is having less of a preference, right? Then you really truly understand, because you're at peace. And it's like, and I can foresee the questions of some people. Like, okay, but how can you have no desire? Don't worry, you won't have no desire. You're not that enlightened. Only people who are very enlightened can have. You have desire. It's not to have not desire, because you won't be able to get at this level. And if you get to this level, more power to you. I will go worship you obsequiously. But if you cannot reach this level right now, like most of us, myself included, obviously, is just do not give so much intensity when it comes to your desire. That's why you have to study.
So
like,
chill.
Exactly, chill and understand that you can be happy where you are. And this thing is not doesn't mean you have to discourage you from having this desire, but do not put this intensity behind this feeling of desire. If anything, letting go of desire, don't worry, the desire will be there, but it will be much weaker, and it will be more of a preference. Like, if you tell me, like, Seb, what you want to eat, I was like, McDonald's, this, that, I'm like, okay, I prefer this. If I don't get it, I'll get this. You know what I mean? So it's much more chill, and there's less fear. But obviously, when it comes to this, you have to let go of people's thinking and people's point of view, and your status in the world. What would this girl think? What would this guy think? What would my parents think? What would think? It's a whole thing. But it's like living on the inside and being confident of, have faith in inside, and that you can trust yourself. You know what I mean? Surrender Experiment is a very good book talking about this. It's just more like going with the flow, but it's not easy. But I think like adding a little bit to our lives will bring us, all of us, a long way. Because like, I mean, like, complaining justified not is like, does it really serve as a purpose when it comes to, and I've been known to be a complainer in my past. You know what I mean? Like, I not necessarily out loud, but inside we have, because like, you're still complaining if you're complaining inside. It's the same thing. It's even worse. You know what I mean? So like, I think it's just letting go. But to stop complaining, you have to let go of the control. Because when you don't control, you let go, you understand the things. Because when you control, you always see the bad things. But when you let go, you can see the beauty in things. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like you're walking along, you could be thinking really hard and this, the other that you're worried about, or you could see where the light reflects through the trees and stuff.
That's a good example. I mean, sometimes I don't like to do it necessarily directly to this road, because they think like, oh my God, you're smoking weed and being all a hippie in Thailand and stuff like that, which is not the case at all. I'm not a really big fan of hippies. I mean, to be fair, honestly, I think they should shave and take a shower every now and then. But that's only this is a bit tongue in cheek. But like, but what I'm trying to say is like, yes, there is beauty in simplicity. It's like sometimes you look at the sky and it's like, oh my God, it's like some. And the thing is, like, when it comes to meditation, and this is not at all an underrated thing, and it's really true, when you meditate more and more, because your mind is so much clearer, and you have so much clarity and so much emptiness, and you feel so light, you will see beauty in the smallest of things. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not interested in thinking of blue skies. You will be outside, you'll be sitting, and you'll be like, it could be raining and stuff like this. You will see things like, oh my God, this is so amazing. This what I'm seeing is so amazing. It's not necessarily, it's not a gratitude that you have to force, or appreciation that you have forced. It's like you genuinely like, oh my God, there's something here. You know what I mean? Like, everything is more vibrant around what you
notice something that you might not notice normally.
You will go directly to the beauty of the thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's the thing. When you meditate, you have so much more tolerance with people, because before, let's say you have this negative mindset, you see only the bad, which oftentimes is projection of what you see inside of yourself, right? If you want to go a bit in psychoanalyst, right? But like, when you see the good, not only you are more humble, because you think, oh, I'm a shitty person inside too, the shadow, right? Like Carl Jung would call it, you know what I mean? So once you understand that I'm shitty too, shitty, right? You know what I mean? Quote unquote.
Yeah.
So you have more tolerance, because you know how hard it is to change oneself, you know what I mean? Then now your meditation will help you see the good. It's like, what? No, if I see something wrong in you right now, I'm the one wrong. It's not you who's done something wrong. Why am I looking for something wrong? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could be
I've got a question though.
Yes, please. Sorry.
So a lot of people, well, some people might ask, well, it's all the world is like letting go with the flow. Maybe there's something to that, but how do you act morally if you're just
morally? You mean like discerning between good and bad, right?
Yeah.
Well, but the Buddha, he said, like, if you cannot follow the precepts, do two things in life. 3 things: purify the mind, don't do things that hurt you, don't do things that hurt others. That's basically most of morality. When you do those 3 things, it's very basic, but it's true. Because when you purify the mind, you will discern, you will have the wisdom, the panya that comes along, so you will know. And sometimes it's not, there's no, you might have laws and stuff like this, but laws don't necessarily, when you think about intellectually, when you're in the circumstances, you know, like what your example just now was great. Oh, I don't want to say this, you know. There's no laws telling you this. It's just, there's a feeling inside of you that says, oh, maybe I should not say.
Yeah, so it doesn't really feel good, does it? When you actually hurting people, it feels unpleasant. You just feel like you have to or something.
You cannot do something. There's no there's no the monotheistic like concept of evil and good does not exist in the spiritualities of the East, right? It's ignorance and delusion, right? But the thing is, like, when you do something that will ultimately hurt you and or others, it doesn't feel good. Whereas when you do good, it doesn't matter if someone tells you it's good or not, you know it feels good, right? And that's something that over time, when you purify the mind, you will be better at, you know. And sometimes you're so unconscious and deliberately do bad things, but people are not evil per se. People do things because they're ignorant. They think this will bring us happiness, bring them happiness. It's not survival of the fittest. It's not a Darwinian concept. Right. They do things that they will feed the ego to feel good. But the more you purify the mind, the more you'll be to discern, I'm doing good. This act, this thought, these words will help me and others, you know.
So discernment comes from purifying the mind, and the more you 100%. Purify the mind, the more you can tell if you're doing it for genuine reasons.
You
or
can
not.
feel, tell. To your point, you can feel more than you can tell. Because as soon as you start intellectualizing, you're like, man, like, I don't know about this, you know. Because now you can feel that you should not say it, but you can intellectualize. Like, okay, there's no law against it. Like, especially like, you go dating, for example, or like, I feel that I should not say this to this girl because I blah blah blah. But in my mind, it's like, okay, she went on a date with me. She's consentful, blah blah blah. You know what I mean? There's countless examples where intellectual can take over because now you're justifying through the laws and stuff like this. But then your heart is telling you, literally, your mind is telling you, is feeling you, is giving you the red light or the green light, you know. And so then after, we always have the choice at the end of the day, you know what I mean? And the more you do it, the more your choice will be clear cut, you know what I mean? You will have like this angel and devil, you know what I mean? Like you I don't like to use this, but like it makes it seem that I see things black and white. There's nuances to this, but you come there, and that's also another answer to your question about inspiration. That is inspiration too. The things that make you feel that you should do and not do, you know, and or not do. And that's the thing. It's discernment, and it comes with practice and purifying the mind. And it's a process. It doesn't mean we don't make mistakes, you know what I mean? But the mistakes at least are out of good intention, and we trying our best, you know what I mean? But yeah, mistakes are normal. We live in a complex society with many people and stuff like this, and we cannot make an omelet without breaking some eggs, you know what I mean? It is what it is.
Just like Stalin said, eh?
Sorry?
No, I was just joking. You said you can't make an omelet without breaking eggs, and Stalin said that.
Yeah, exactly.
But no, that's a different meaning altogether. I forgot what I was going to say. Sorry. Sorry.
It happens a lot with me. I talk a lot. So.
Well, there's what is equanimity?
Oh my God! When I that's one of the first. I think that was the most complicated word I read when I started studying Buddhism as a teenager. I'm like, what the fuck is equanimity? You know, I understand equality. You know, I mean, equanimity. Equanimity is I don't know. It's like this balance. You know what I mean? Equanimity is actually it stems from the word wisdom, I would say, and the practice of wisdom and the acquirement of wisdom. But equanimity is having this right balance, you know, and it sums up a lot of what we've talked about, right? It's seeing things more so as they are instead of like getting attached. But equanimity will give you this balance, you know. So let's say, for example, something amazing happens to you. The equanimity will tell you, you normal human, you'll be like, oh my God, it's good, it's stuff like this, blah, blah. The equanimity will tell you, it's okay, enjoy it, you know what I mean? But this will pass too, you know what I mean? You know, this will pass too.
Yeah.
So, okay, don't get too crazy, don't get too attached to this, you know? Inversely, when something bad happens to you, like people will be depressed and stuff like this. But when you have equanimity, you say, okay, this too will pass, you know what I mean? This will not stay. So don't get too caught up in the negative emotions as well. You know what I mean? So the negativity can give you kind of this peace of mind that you don't need to go too high nor go too low. And not people say, oh my, this is boring. Well, Not really, because the peace of mind is the ultimate happiness. If you go ups and down all your life, it's exhausting. You know what I mean? And not only
Like
that, but
literally,
like,
if you're hiking, if you keep going up and down, that's obviously more
oh, no,
energy.
it's just, I mean, I mean, I love hiking, but like, it's exhausting. You know, you have to exert a lot of effort. But the thing is also, when you have this thing of life that where you want the highlights of your life all the time, but highlights are highlights because the rest is not so much of a highlight. If everything was a highlight, it would be normal. If I watch a football game like Chelsea against Arsenal or Manchester United against, so I don't know, no, Manchester City, they just reached semifinals, right? Against PSG actually. But like,
Right.
you know, like if you watch a football game, you know what I mean? If you watch 90 minutes, okay, you be bored most of the time. But if you watch the highlights that are just 5 minutes out of 90 minutes, is the highlights of this. And same thing, but we cannot live a life where we just live for those highlights, because 95% of your life would just be normal things, you know what I mean? So you're going to live what, 5% of your life will be ecstatic joy, and 95% will be like boredom and negativity. No, this is the in-between moments, you know what I mean? And the equanimity gives you this thing not to get too attached, and therefore you have this steady peace of mind. And this is true joy, because happiness is transient, is an emotion. But peace of mind, you can have peace of mind regardless of what is happening, you know? You can be okay, and
Right.
that is equanimity. I hope I answered the question right, but like, that was the...
Yeah, but people say that. You say that, but I've got all these negative thoughts. I've got all this stuff happening in my life. I've all
No,
these
I'm not saying
things
it's
I'm
not
afraid of.
overwhelming. Obviously, sometimes, to your point, chaos can come and in an overwhelm. But like, yeah, because you have not let go more. If you had let go a bit, I'm not trying to point fingers here. I'm not trying to condemn anybody. But when you process a little, and sometimes yes, like you have chaos because you have accumulated all those things you have not let go, and things happen through manifestation of your limiting beliefs and your negativity, etc. So I'm not saying it's bad. It's just, it is what it is, you know. But you still need to take one step at a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like we live such in a there's this instant gratification. It's like, oh my god, I have to do this, and I have to be clear of all my issues. You know what I mean? Oh man, like this, especially this process of awakening meditation can take such a... I don't want to say this I don't want to discourage people, but it's you really have to be about the journey, not the outcome. Because when you think you have an outcome, the journey is never done. You know what I mean?
Right. And you could
It's
also
not
like,
done.
you won't enjoy it. I mean, there's some people like saying negative stuff about spirituality. Like they might be like, oh, it's all like some, I don't know, they fear mongering basically about what might happen, about negative agendas and things like that. Or like they say that it's a trick and it's not really, and you should just go back to Jesus or something. uh
Well,
I'm
man,
not really
like,
explaining it very well.
yeah,
But you
but
know,
to each their own, you know, to each their
there's
own.
this
But like,
fear of what if we're actually fucked and it doesn't matter what you do. But if we were, wouldn't it be easier to deal with if you had equanimity?
yeah, I agree. But like, people, no, people have their own opinion, and it's okay. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, but like, you have to practice it. You know, you have to be about it. You know what I mean? You just cannot be about... I mean, like, I, I don't like to talk negativity, negative. I don't like to have negative opinions as much. I want to be for something, not always against. It's so easy to be against. Why not try to be for something? You know what I mean? Because like, hey, you know what I mean? Like for these people who have negative opinions about spiritual, hey, let me look at them. Maybe they have something I can learn from them. You know, maybe there's something that is true. Because like as soon as you argue, you lost. You know what I mean? And that's a hard one too. You know, to your point just now, to your question.
Yeah.
I don't want to argue what is spiritual. It's not for me to argue. You know what I mean? It's like arguing. When I argue, it's more for fun. Like argue, is Michael Jordan the best or LeBron James? That's fun for me. But I'm not going to argue religions and stuff like this. I'm going to talk. That's why I said just now about my example about the monks who practice and the monks who don't practice. When you practice, there's no argument. I say, oh my God, yeah,
Yeah.
like yeah, this and that. You know what I mean? It's like
Instead, you have fun
Sorry.
comparing them instead of arguing about it.
It's
So,
not. It's just like, yeah, everybody's their own pace. We help each other. You know what I mean? We have
yeah.
insight and stuff like this. Not like, oh my God, I meditated 10 hours. Did you meditate? Like I meditated 2 hours. Like who gives a fuck? It's not the Olympics. You know what I mean? It's like,
Yeah, meditation Olympics.
Yeah, because like you have, it is true. Like I live in Thailand, where you have, of course, this spiritual materialism. Of course, to think that the religions are not exempt. There's a lot of corruption and stuff like this. And but it doesn't mean that you don't have great teachers, great monks, and the teachings are not there. You know, everybody can do what they want with their power. You know, especially in a country where Buddhism is the number one religion and people have so much reverence, you know what I mean, and deference when it comes to monks, you know, obviously it puts them on a pedestal, and power corrupts, you know what I mean? But it's not
Yeah.
everybody, you know, it's not everybody. It doesn't mean the teachings are wrong.
You
Teachings are the
mentioned that
teachings, humans are humans. Huh?
you mentioned the law of attraction and
Yeah, I talk a lot
attracting
of.
to certain things,
Mhm.
but often people try to attract what they desire.
Yeah, myself included, by the way, to be fair.
So what do you have to say about that?
When as it pertains to what?
Oh, I was being a bit vague. So there's, how would you suggest considering looking at the law of attraction? How would you suggest not doing that? What's advisable, what's not advisable, and everything
Oh
between?
my God, I don't like to put myself in this situation where it's advisable. Everybody can do whatever they want, you know what I mean? But for me, I would just repeat what I said just now. We have to understand that our desires will not ultimately make us feel happy. You know what I mean? In a sense, like, yeah, I mean, like, why you ask yourself why you want this? You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like if I'm in a situation, like, I need money and stuff like this. Yeah, it makes sense. I want to manifest more money and stuff like this. What do you want with your life? It's simple. It's like you have to pretty much sit down and say, what do you really want? You know what I mean? Like if I
Kids
tell,
know.
like,
They
yeah,
ask why,
that's
and
what
then
I'm
you
saying.
say, and then they ask why again.
But like
They get it.
if you ask people our age, they like some people will say, "Well, I don't know," you know what I mean? Or they say, "I don't know." They'll mumble, "I don't know." So yeah, I want a mansion on the lake and stuff like this. But this is not really. This is just like the kind of like genie in the bottle kind of answer. It's not what
Like
you
the song
truly want.
Rockstar.
By
I want to be a rock star, you know?
yeah, I want to be a rock star. It's like if you think because society has sent you this kind of subliminal images of that. But this is again to what I was saying just now is the glamour of things. But when you strip off the glamour and you understand is what is your preferences like? It's like if I tell you what now, what like you know you're about to die tomorrow. What is your last meal? What do you want for your last meal? That's your true desire. You know what I mean? Like I want pancakes. I know what I want. You know what I mean? There's no glamour. That's my stomach telling me what I want. Is you know. So the same thing is like go home and just think what do you really want, and there's nothing wrong. You know what I mean? And what I want might seem completely ostentatious and extravagant for you, but maybe something you want is completely more simple and stuff like it depends. There's no right or wrong, but you don't do it for other people. You do it because you truly want them. You know, maybe you have a particular taste for headphones and I have a particular taste for hats. You know what I mean? It's just like we still this is how we have our authenticity as human beings. It has to be aligned. But if you say like you want it, no, you want this because you think this will bring you status and you bring you the crowds and adoration by people and stuff like this because you're doing this for the cliques and for people's views on you, you know what I mean? But that's not truly happiness, you know. And that's why it's when you purify the mind, you give to the very, very basic. It doesn't mean that your goals and your desires are very basic, but they are truly your preferences, you know what I mean? So there's
Yeah.
I have no beef at all, you know what I mean?
And if you were to, pardon me,
no,
if you were to
sorry, go ahead.
simplify everything that you have to say in just one brief, concise statement or question, like what would it be?
What's your thoughts? I think this number one. Really, what's your thoughts? Cultivate the mind. Watch your thoughts and see the good and replace the negativity with the good. You know what I mean? And really watch your thoughts and clear the mind as much as possible and let go as much as you can as negative feeling. And when I say let go, it doesn't mean like you force them aside. You let go, you surrender them, you don't dwell on them. Not dwelling is the key word, right? Keywords. Not dwelling and just see the good and purify the mind. Really, that comes down to this. You know, I think you go a long way by doing this. Honestly, It's not about only meditation. Sorry, I'm not being concise at all. You know what I mean? But like, it's like, yeah, like, okay.
No, I can't complain. I'm in no place to complain. I go on for hours.
Oh, cool. But you can tell me more about you. I've talked enough, I think. But like, yeah, no. What's your thoughts? I think I don't want to say more than this. What's your thoughts? Because this will, if I think people don't underestimate. Like, if they were to do 1 week, let's say they do nothing else, right? They have no obligation, no responsibility for 1 week. I mean, you can do stuff and stuff like this, but you have nothing to worry about. Nothing is planned, right? What's your thoughts for 1 week? You'll be shocked. You'll be shocked at all the if you haven't done this in your life, you'll be shocked at the amount of negativity, against you, against other people, against circumstances, the amount of complaining, the amount of bitching and stuff like this. You'll be shocked. People will be shocked. Just do
I've got a
this.
question.
Yes.
Do you recommend dopamine detoxes?
Well, I wanted to make a video on this. Can you because I checked a few videos on dopamine detox, but can you maybe tell me a form, because I have a.
Well, honestly, I haven't done it, but I've really seriously considered doing it.
I think it's a
recently.
great thing to do.
You're asking me what it is, and now you're saying it's great.
No. I said that I have watched a few videos, but I would like you to give me more pointers to see maybe you know more about it, because like I think I have a good picture of what it is, but I'm not necessarily familiar with the whole concept. But I mean, to be fair, it's pretty self-explanatory. I know what is dopamine. I know what is detox, and I really love the word dopamine because it's. When I studied biology when I was a teenager, it says a lot. Dopamine is like the hormone of happiness, right? So I mean, not really happiness.
I know what it isn't. I definitely know what it isn't. I'm definitely well acquainted. I'm sure a lot of people are with. There's always another YouTube video you could watch, or there's always another turn in a game you could play, or there's always more. Or you can lose another drink. There's always more to distract yourself.
Nick, how because how would you go? How you just told me you are considering doing a dopamine detox. How are you going about it?
I don't know. It's more like I should probably do it at some point, and I just sort of. I've been procrastinating. That's the truth.
I think what if I were to say. If I were to give an advice to people who want to do a dopamine detox, is like choose one thing instead of the whole thing. My God, if you do the only reason you're procrastinating because you're seeing the things like, oh my God, all this stuff. No, just pick one thing.
I was picturing like literally not even using a computer or any simulation at all. I was like, geez,
step by step is the best.
Thing. I could
just one thing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
One thing. Next time you do two things. Next time you do two things. One thing you can do one thing. You will see you have more moderation. Next week you do another thing.
It's like
a big thing.
It's a bit like when people do no FAP, right? And they are like they try to go all out immediately, and then they fail, and like
I'm like
I'm a failure, you know.
I'm like this. I go all out, and no FAP is a very good topic too. I'm a big fan of no FAP. I'm like this. I go all out, then I say, but me, like I'm very good at recommitting. You know, the people have to understand when you do those detox, the stuff like this. What people have to understand. It's so funny you should mention this because I just made a video this morning about this. When you start this dopamine detox, this no FAP, this whatever meditation, when you start any kind of new pattern, you are going to fail more than once. Maybe after 1 day, when you want to quit cigarettes, maybe 2 weeks later, you smoke again. Then 2 weeks later, you smoke again. It's part of the process. People have to understand, do not beat yourself up. It's completely normal. Why? Because you are not only disrupting an old pattern that's been there for a while, your mind is used to it, your subconscious mind is used to it, but you are introducing a new pattern. It takes time. So obviously, but the more important thing is you understand when you fuck up, it's okay. You know, I jerked off, I smoked a cigarette, I did this, I took a drink. It's okay. People have the mistake, I'm going to give up. No, don't give up. Recommit the next day or 2 days later. You know, binge for 2 days. And every time you do this, it doesn't mean that when you binge, like encourage it, you know what I mean? But it's not saying that it's good, but don't tell it's bad. You know, as soon as you say something is bad, you're going to repress, you're going to suppress, and you're going to have this backlash and reproduce the same behavior. Just recommit. This is the process. It's not that like people think like, oh my God, I've been smoking 10 years, I'm going to quit for 1 week. No, because you're using willpower. when you will know when this pattern is set, because your mind has changed. Your pattern, your limiting belief. Now your belief is, I was a smoker, now I'm not. I am, and visualization help and stuff like this. But yeah, detox at one step at a time, one step at a time. You know what I mean? But I agree, you made a
Yeah.
great point. You know, especially in NoFap, because it's so. I mean, that's one of the hardest, to be fair. Like, and I'm pretty good at all this kind of stuff. We've been talking about cigarettes. I quit cigarettes, smoking, alcohol. NoFap, like, it's at the top. No fapping is
but
like
you were talking about just do it gradually and one thing at a time. And I found that I didn't even try. I just
that's the best way.
I kind of just did it a bit less, but it's kind of like, but it's kind of like if you don't chase a coping mechanism so hard, if you just ease off a bit, like that actually helps a lot. Because ultimately you're using it to cope with or just avoid presence. Like I still do it now, honestly. I'm more addicted to YouTube than fapping, that's my thing. But the thing is, like, I do learn from benefit from it, right? Especially the spiritual stuff.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, there's
I was definitely referring to the spiritual YouTube videos. I'm not talking about
to YouTube. I know what you mean. Then after you're just like a bit more saturated with information, but it's still better than. And you seem very open to information and not very attached to them. You know, I mean, from what we've spoke about. But yeah, no, the one thing at a time. But like, yeah, I think the dopamine detox, I think, is something that we should say, like, yeah, detox. Don't go balls to the wall and stop doing everything. You're gonna go nuts. You know what I mean? Oh, step one thing at a time. Just pick one thing. As the easier, the better. You know, if you too sure, I don't know, if you spend, I don't know, if you check your phone if you check your phone 100 times a day, just check your phone 50 times a day or 80 times a day. You know, this is like people, they don't want to do the small steps. You know what I mean? Like when you go,
it's not meant to be hard.
It's not meant to be hard. You go Thai boxing, you're not gonna fucking go sparring the first day. You know what I mean? It's like, no, you do the basic foundation, you progressively. You know what I mean? And there's nothing wrong with this. When you get the foundation good, then after the rest is easy. You know what I mean? Like the 1 week not checking your phone for 100 times, and you check your head 50 times. This builds your muscle. This literally builds a muscle. By the time you get done in 1 year, you'll be amazing at this. You know.
Like, and I suppose that applies to whether we call it spirituality or whatever. Like everything. It applies to that too. Just one step at a time.
Yeah. Because your subconscious mind, you cannot coerce your subconscious mind. You have to cooperate with your subconscious mind.
That's true. Like people try to kill their ego too hard.
Yeah, exactly. And then they go, it's good intentions, you know what I mean? But hell is paid with good intentions. Just do it the right way. It's like, I understand we all want this instant gratification. Like, yeah, man, I'm gonna be on the diet now. Tomorrow I'm gonna fast for like 10 days. It's like, you take it one step at a time. That's the best way, you know. Patience is key.
Yeah, that's true. You know, honestly, we've been going quite a while, and I'm just wondering, we might want to wrap up soon. But if there's anything you want to say to finish off,
no, man,
patience is key. I don't know. We've covered a lot of things that pretty. I've enjoyed this.
I still have time. If you have time, no problem. If you don't have time, it's all good. You know what I mean?
Well, anyway, I hope you've enjoyed listening to this, and I guess have a nice day and bye for now.